All right, everybody, Michael Cohen here with you, Sports Talk Nation. We're doing this a little bit different because, well, we are at work. We're here at WCTC, Fox Sports Radio, New Jersey, here in Somerset, so a little bit of a different location. But, of course, the breaking news this afternoon, Joe Douglas has been fired by the New York Jets as general manager, and let's be honest, this was not surprising at all. We all knew that this was coming down the road for some time. The reports on Sunday before the Jets game that Douglas was potentially looking for real estate in the Baltimore area and possibly returning to the Ravens at some point. So we knew that something was going on. And then you go back earlier, a couple weeks before that, that cryptic press conference where he just looked dead-eyed. He just looked like he had nothing left and didn't want to talk about the Robert Saleh firing and didn't want to talk about anything, for that matter, with reporters outside of their training facility in Florham Park. So you knew it was coming, and really this has been going on, obviously, since, to our knowledge, obviously, since the firing of Robert Saleh at the end of that London game back in Week 5, and it has been a cataclysmic disaster ever since. The Jets have gone 1-5 since that game. This team has played poorly, which is kind of putting it mildly when you think about it. 3-8 are the Jets right now. It has been a total train wreck. The defense, as we all know, can't tackle. They don't tackle anybody. The offense has been ineffective, and this is a team that has brought on so many big stars. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers being the headline, and it just has not worked out. He looks his age at this point, 40 years old, and he just doesn't seem like the same guy at all. Doesn't throw the ball as crisply as he once did, and just looks skittish in the pocket. The offensive line, still a bit of a problem. I mean, this team also brought in Davante Adams. They brought in so many guys to work with Rodgers. Davante Adams, Randall Cobb, Nathaniel Hackett, his offensive coordinator, Alan Lazard, before he ended up on IR this year. So many guys who were Packer guys with Rodgers, and it just did not work out at all. So, Joe Douglas's tenure at the Jets, what can I say? It's an uneven record, I guess, in a lot of ways here with New York, because in some respects he had success. You know, he drafted guys like Sauce Gardner, and who we know hasn't played well lately, and of course Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. He had that great draft in 2022, but you also have a guy who struck out big time on Mekhi Becton, struck out big time on Zach Wilson. He and Saleh both struck out on the decision to move on from Sam Darnold and go with Zach Wilson to begin with. So you have that. And then obviously here with this whole Rodgers thing, which I think was also partly orchestrated by the front office, by ownership as well, wanting to go out there and get that big name. So I don't want to put it all on Joe Douglas, but it was an uneven tenure. When your record is 30-64, this is what's going to happen. I did find it interesting. Of course, Connor Hughes of SNY was reporting this first. So one thing he said in the stream that I saw on SNY's Twitter page is that Douglas was willing to make this move, and that this was, even though it's termed as a firing, somewhat mutual in a lot of ways for these two sides to part ways at this point. So it's no surprise. What's going to mean now for the future? I know there's some fans who sit there and say, oh, Aaron Rodgers is at fault. This is all his fault. He wanted to do this. He wanted to get Joe Douglas fired. According to Hughes, that's not the case. And if you read the report from SNY the other day about Rodgers' future, he wanted stability and continuity if he was going to stay with the Jets and potentially play in 2025. Well, there's no structure, there's no continuity going forward into 2025. You would have to think that the Rodgers era is going to come to an end unless the Johnson brothers go to him and ask him who should be the head coach or GM, which would be not advised. Would it put it beyond ownership to do such a thing? Ask players what they think? No, but most likely it's coming to an end with this Rodgers era here in New York. It's been a disappointing run for the last 2 years. Last year, the injury. This year, just total bad underperformance. And it's time to do a clean house. It's time to rip off the bandage, as I said in my last video, and bring in a new voice, new ideas, a new GM. You have to start with the president of football operations and go from there. Let that individual pick the head coach, whoever that may be, and go from there. We all know about the different rumors that have been flying around about different coaching candidates, as I addressed that in my last video. There'll be more time to address that. But this, of course, the big story, Joe Douglas's career with the Jets is coming to an end, and really it's no surprise at all. Now the process of seeing where this franchise goes from here and how quickly they can turn it around, forget this season, going towards 2025 can actually begin to happen. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you next time.